What's good?
What's up, bro?
I got Jaden Connor in here. He's one of my good buddies. He's a freaking killer. Jaden, what do you do? Give the rundown.
Yeah, I'm a real estate agent and an investor. Been licensed for the last like 6 years or so. Been working for an investment company for the last 5 years, specializing in wholesaling. So we were doing like 150 off-market deals every year, just mostly wholesaling, a little bit of flipping, a little bit of buy and hold, a little bit of everything, but mostly wholesaling. But just quit like 2 months ago. So now I'm on my own.
Goodness. So I recently left my team, the Perry Group. So Jaden and I are both the free agents scheming together.
Just unemployed
Yeah.
together.
Trying to figure it out. So Jaden is someone that I respect a ton. I feel like he's a young hustler. We honestly, I feel like we do kind of similar things. Like we're both agents and we both are deeply involved in the investment world.
Yeah,
right?
kind of
So-
heavy in the investment space, which is where it's at.
Yes, sir. So you recently closed on your latest acquisition, right?
Yeah.
Well, before you go into this acquisition, tell us a little bit about your portfolio, where that stands, and your recent acquisition as well.
Cool. So nothing crazy. I'm sitting at 7 property. Well, actually 6. We just sold a commercial building that I was partnered on. I wanted to hold on to it, but I had 2 other partners and they were kind of excited about selling it. So it was great. But we were cash flowing like $1,000 a month on hard money loan.
Jeez.
And we were getting ready to refinance, but then we got an offer that they didn't want to refuse. So we did really well on it. But so yeah, 6 properties. I'm partnered on a couple of those, but the 4 of them are on my own.
So I'm gonna interrupt you before, Jaden, because we were talking about this before. Is like most people don't even know what hard money is. So
Right.
hard money is short-term loans, typically at like 12%. You pay discount or you pay points on top of that, so it's 12% monthly. It's 12%. That's the interest rate. I'm talking too much. But anyways, if it's cash flowing $1,000 a month with a 12% interest rate, if you can refinance that into even like a 7%,
Yeah.
like it's stupid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just had to throw that in there, but
Yeah,
keep
that
going.
was a good one. So and then my most recent acquisition was just like I do a lot of house hacking. That's how I've acquired a lot of my properties. So every year I try to do at least one of those. And the most recent one that I own a couple deals on creative finance. This most recent one was another creative finance deal. It was a sub 2 transaction. So paid out their equity. It was listed on the MLS, paid out their equity less than 10% down. And it's a 2.789% interest rate. So
Jeez.
it's a 2-story home in Bountiful. So we're owner occupying the main level, and then we're gonna rent out the upstairs. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it was awesome.
That's
Super
amazing.
excited about that one.
So the cool part too is like with creative finance, you're not capped at 10 deals under your loans, right? Like
Right.
you can, it's not on your credit, it's not on your loan application, so you can stack and stack and stack. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
amazing.
creative finance, especially in this market, right? Like Utah's already hard enough to cash flow anyways. Like if you're going to get a 6 to 7% interest rate with prices where they're at, it's really hard to get stuff to cash flow. Um, but yeah, creative finance is hands down the best strategy in this market. It's really hard to get stuff to make sense unless you're either getting a killer purchase price like we did on that commercial building. That wasn't a creative deal, it was just a cash deal. But the reason why we were able to get that one to cash flow is because we got a killer deal on the purchase price. But typically speaking, it is really difficult to get stuff to even break even in Utah.
100%. Well, even especially in the residential space, like getting a steep discount on a residential property when there's a lot of demand for residential properties, like it's a lot tougher. It's not to say that you can't find
Right.
it, but and that leads me to like my next question is you were a part of a wholesale operation that saw more deals than most companies here in Utah. So like what percentage of them were seller finance versus like cash deals for investors or for flippers per se?
Yeah, that's a good question. We until 2022, we didn't even ever really consider creative finance because rates were so low. Everything was flying off the shelves for way above asking price. So it wasn't until rates started going up that we even started like learning, or at least me personally, like the majority of the people in my group, we didn't even really know how to even structure a seller finance deal until the latter half of 2022 and then all of 2023. So in 2023 and the first half of 2024, we probably were doing like 7% or less of creative finance deals. So really not that many. Before July of 2022, we probably didn't do any. Actually, that's not true. We did a couple, but it was pretty rare.
Interesting.
But yeah, still the majority of our deals were cash deals, and then we were probably doing like one out of every 12 or 13 deals was probably a creative deal.
That's crazy because to me, from my perspective, getting a flip done in today's market is like insanely hard. And maybe that's like a limiting belief, and probably because I'm doing a flip right now, that's like terrible that I bought from a wholesaler.
Yeah,
I know
all
far too well about
that.
that.
Yeah, I was under contract on that deal.
Yeah, insane at a much, much, much better price than me.
I should have brought it to you, but
I still think I'll break even on that. Like break even with this much heartache and mind space is just
it'll be a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like I'll never doing a flip in today's market is tough for me. Understanding the possibilities with seller finance, but I don't know your thoughts on that. Would you do a flip in the next 3 months?
I definitely would, but I'm so conservative. I've been spoiled living in the wholesale world, and here's why. There's zero risk. Zero. If you do it right. There's
100%.
Literally zero risk. And so if I come across a really good deal that I could flip, there's a 99.9% chance that, or probably 100% chance that I know somebody who would buy it, and I'd rather just wholesale it. So with that being said, like I've done some flips. I'm interested in flipping. I'll continue to do some flips, but if I can just wholesale the property, like if I could flip a property and make 50 or wholesale the property to make 30, I'll wholesale that all day long because it's way faster. There's no risk. So that's kind of my philosophy. That's why it's hard for me to actually do a flip, is just because I'd rather probably just wholesale it.
For sure.
But there is still room for that in my exit strategies,
I think the thing for me is why I hate flips so much is less, and I hate to be one of those guys that blames the market and all that. It really comes down to me not understanding construction. Like, my wife is fixing the plumbing. Like, I hate the construction side.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm the same. I just get too impatient, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you always run into a problem.
For sure.
I've never gotten my hands dirty on a project without running into like an issue or having to make 5 extra Home Depot runs or whatever. And I just lose my patience because you and I both know our time is best spent. We get a way better return on our time elsewhere.
100%.
So why would I continue swinging the hammer when it's not the highest and best use of my time?
Exactly.
And I just lose my patience way too fast.
We're the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think with that being said, you can, from my perspective too, is like, as someone that did these flip, even wholesale deals, or like the value add, I don't even, whatever the word for it, value add deals, right? Where you're putting usually hard money, whether you're fixing it up for your own portfolio and burring it, or a flipper is going to buy it and sell it on the other end. Like, there's so much opportunity with creative right now that I rarely put a lot of mind space towards that strategy anymore.
Right.
And that could be a mistake, but it's just like a seller finance deal seems a lot cleaner to me right now, is like, especially if the deals make sense right up front, you can find a very good return on your money from the get-go where you're not doing a complete remodel.
Right.
Whereas like a flip, a wholesale deal, not a wholesale deal, because wholesale you wipe your hands clean, but in in the value add space, especially on a flip, is there's a lot of uncertainty. Like when I just did my triplex, it was a $30,000 remodel. Like it's hard to overspend 30 grand. Like it's hard to spend 60 grand on a $30,000 remodel,
Right.
because it's a lot less work, right? Versus
Right.
like $100,000 remodel can turn to a $200,000 remodel real quick.
Oh
if you're,
yeah,
if you're not
one
watching it.
unexpected thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or
So,
yeah, we could go on and on. Even just like if yeah, I mean whether you pull permits or not, if you have to go through the permitting process, I mean that alone can delay you months.
yeah,
I think you're kind of dealing with that a little bit, right, on the Orem deal.
yeah. Because I was forced to go into the permit process after well, for the viewers, there was an addition, right? That was impeding on a setback. City was aware of it a lot more than I thought they were. And so I had to take that addition off, which is part of the garage. So I wasn't losing any square footage, but I had to go through that. And in order to go through that, I had to get permits. And if permits are happening, inspectors are at the property, they're going to know that the whole property is being remodeled. So it was just easier for me to just do it the right way. But yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah, no fun at all.
So, but Jaden, so, I mean, everyone has a reason why they work hard. Why real estate is it for them, right? Like for me, it's probably more because I'm lazy. Like I want to work my butt off now so that in 10, 15 years, like I don't have to work if I don't want to, and I can spend as much time with my kids as I want. But like what pushes you to work as hard as you do right now?
Yeah, basically the same reasons, right? I feel like real estate is the perfect combination between sales, people, technology, and then obviously just like real estate. And finance. I feel like it kind of meshes those worlds together. So I double majored in, I went to Utah State, double majored in finance and management information systems, and then I minored in real estate. And then I spent a few years doing door-to-door sales. So I love sales, I love people. I like the technology side of it, love the people side of it, love the finance side of it, and I feel like it just merges all of those worlds into one. And so that's why I love real estate. But to answer your question of like why I want to work so hard right now is, yeah, just, I mean, the freedom, the flexibility. Like I just went to, this is probably the busiest summer I've ever had, like for personal things. Like I was in St. George and then New York and then Vegas and then a family reunion, and then I'm going to Lake Powell next week. So for the last month, it's been back to back to back of like personal things. Now the good news is I can still work while I'm gone. Like I can still take phone calls and I can still manage deals while I'm gone, which I love. But if you're working a W-2, it's kind of hard to do that.
100%.
Like even for the last 5 years, although I was a 1099 working for a company, I would always feel really guilty. I'm a hard worker. I don't like to take time off naturally. I like to be at home and I like to be working. And I don't like feeling like I'm taking advantage of the system or whatever. And so even though I was 1099 working for an investment company with a ton of flexibility, I would still feel guilty like taking time off. But now that I'm on my own, I don't have to ask for permission to go do any of that.
100%.
And I think that'll just continue to get better and better as time goes on, right? And just have that freedom to eventually, once I have a family and stuff, to be able to take as much time off as I want, but still obviously work hard and play hard. For sure.
But what I'll say is the reason I'm obsessed with real estate as a career is for a lot of the reasons that you said, but I'll expound on that because I was working in tech sales, right? And tech sales is known to be one of the more cush jobs. Like you work your butt off, but you can work from home as long as you're hitting your numbers. Like they claim that there's a lot of flexibility there. One thing that I noticed working for several different companies in the tech sales world is, although it's work from home, they do care where you're at. Like, and there's exceptions to this, right? Like if you're President's Club 4 years in a row and you're still hitting numbers, they'll probably care a little bit less. But the real estate, like being your own boss in general, although you do work 10 times more
Yeah,
than a
definitely.
9 to 5, and it's not like the freedom of working less and making more, like that's a myth. But the freedom to not care or not worry about other people like breathing down your own back is such a relief for me and my
Oh yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
Um, but the other thing that I'll say about real estate that I'm obsessed with, like you look at other high earning careers, like there's people in e-commerce that do really well. There's people in like crypto that have done really well, right? To me, there seems like there's a lot more volatility in that. Like e-commerce regulations can change, and um, like even Amazon changes one rule and your whole business could get flipped upside down. And there's some truth to that in real estate, but what I love is that there's been hundreds of years of like proven history of the wealth that's created through real estate. So my mentality is like if I set my mind to this industry, it will pay off.
Yeah.
And so that's what I freaking love about it. Like my work won't be wasted. Whereas crypto,
Oh yeah, you could lose it all overnight.
exactly,
Yeah,
right?
amen to that. Yeah, it's very steady Eddie, very I mean, a lot of people might think of real estate as risky, and it certainly can be,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a million different ways to mitigate that risk for
100%.
sure, especially if you're in it for the long run. There's really no like within real estate, there's really no get rich quick. And we're so young, right? Like I'm 28, and
Yeah.
if you even if all you do is go buy one property every year for the next 10 years and that's it, and you own 10, you'll be fine.
Oh,
You'll have a good
100%.
retirement because by the time you're ready to retire, they'll all be paid off. They'll be cash flowing. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I love that you said that too because um like if I make a mistake in real estate, like I've taken so many L's. Like I think everyone knows that at this point. Like I lost 180 grand on this sub 2 deal um that went sideways. A lot of people know about that. I've had other L's too, right? Like but the thing with real estate, and I think I'll probably take a lot more L's than other people because I throw myself out there and maybe do a little bit less due diligence than I probably should. But what I love about real estate is that with the steadiness of this industry is I know that that expensive mistake will help me make more money in the future. And so I think that's it's harder to say that about other industries. Um, but anytime I take a fat L, I'm like, well, won't do that again. I'm going to relearn, calculate my risk moving forward, and go from there. Now, I got to stop saying that I'm okay with these mistakes because it sucks. But yeah, so
but no, that's so true though. Like even if you like, let's say you go lose 20K on your first deal, I guarantee the principles that you learn from doing that deal, you'll be able to learn a skill set to go make up for that 20K pretty easily.
for sure.
Whereas, like, I feel like just within society in general, and I'm not like anti college, I kind of am, but I have my degree, right? So I feel
Yeah.
like I have the right to be anti college
Yeah.
because I actually went through it. And I'm grateful for my degree, but like, you drop tens and tens of thousands of dollars on this education, and you could literally go do one or two real estate deals and learn a skill set that can make you way more money than 4 years and tens of thousands of dollars can do at a institution.
100%.
So yeah, I think like, and yeah, that's every time I've had a deal fall through or things go south or whatever, I always come out learning something. And so there really are like the seller finance deals that went south or the flip, like it's making you a better investor and you're going to be better moving forward because of it. So
Yeah.
really like it sucks that you're losing money. But it's just like paying for an education, really.
For sure. I mean, I think this sounds dumb, but like um, the money when I'm in a L, like when I'm in the middle of it, and like, oh, I know I'm gonna lose money, or this is like a pain right now. It's less about the money that I'm losing. It's more about the mind space that it sucks
Yeah.
for me.
Amen to that.
So that's what I've been learning now is like if I can mitigate those that because those like deter me from making more money too.
Right.
So I gotta get better at that. But that's like one other thing I'll say is just the fact of accumulating properties, like you were mentioning, like when you retire, they'll be paid off. But the other side of that is like in an appreciating market like Utah, like if that appreciates on average of 5%, like that property is going to be worth like triple what you bought it for in 30 years.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
it's like if in our situations now where we have accumulated like a decent portfolio, and 7 is an amazing number in an appreciating market, especially, right? Like the part I love and nerd out about is like what those numbers are going to look like in 10 years. Like rents are going to go up, appreciation is going to kick in, and it's happening while we're still growing in this industry, but we have that to grow with us.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
nerd out about this all day.
Yeah.
Bro.
Oh yeah. Amen to that. I'm a numbers guy as well, and I um I mean even just like the tax benefits too. I feel like I don't know about you, but I feel like everyone says, "Oh, owning real estate is the best way to mitigate taxes," or like you hear of all these guys, right? Donald Trump and all these guys that are paying nothing in taxes because of the real estate. And for the last few years, I'm like, I own real estate and I don't feel like I'm reaping the benefits because I'm still paying like I'm like, what am I missing here, right? But finally, this last year, my 2023 tax return, I did my first cost segregation study.
Okay, yeah.
And finally, I feel like, yeah, owning real estate has benefited me a ton. So I don't know if it was just like my income bracket. I'm finally at an income bracket where like it's actually benefiting me. I don't know. I'm not a CPA. I pay CPAs to do that for me. But even just like the tax benefits alone, I think would make it all worth it.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, the past 3 years, this is going to be the first year that I'll pay taxes, like at all.
Wow.
Which is like, I'm actually like upset about that. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
well, yeah, but I don't feel like I should have to pay taxes this year because I bought a decent amount of real estate too.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of like trying to understand the tax world is like insane. Like, I'm like, do I want to learn this? Or like, I obviously pay my CPA and lean on him a ton, but I'll always in the back of my head think like, is this truly the best way?
Yeah.
And the only option is like either trust your CPA or you learn it yourself. And I'm not going to learn it myself. So.
Well, dude, it's funny. You're going to get me going off on a tangent here, but so for the last few years, I've bounced around between CPAs a lot because for this exact same reason. I feel like a good rule of thumb for the viewers is like, if you ask your CPA what the Augusta rule is, and they don't know what the Augusta rule is, you need a new CPA.
Yeah.
If you're in the world of real estate,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And there's probably a couple other questions too that we could ask him. So I did that to my brother. I was like, because he was doing his tax return, I was like, ask your CPA if he knows what the Augusta rule is, and he didn't. I was like, you need a new CPA, 100%.
So didn't that actually start from the tournament? Like in
I think
Georgia?
so. Yeah, I think so.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And then it was written into the law.
Yep.
Like these, from my understanding, and again, I'm not a CPA, so I don't know this, but it's the people of Augusta when the Masters, I think it's the Masters, right?
Yeah.
That would come to Augusta is like they could rent their house out tax free for a certain time. I don't know. But and now there's certain implications that you can utilize the Augusta rule even if you're not in Augusta.
Yeah.
But
So basically, the law is, and I'm not a CPA, but so you do want to verify this, but I think it's for like 14 days out of the year. So 2 weeks out of the year, you can rent out your personal residence to yourself or your business for business use and use that as a write-off. So you just charge yourself like a nightly rate. You look up comparables, and you can write it all off. And that's just one simple strategy. And so I guess the tangent that I'm going on is been bouncing around between CPAs for the last 4 or 5 years. Finally, I found one that I feel like actually knows what they're doing and is saving me a ton of money in taxes. Because, dude, the reality is like people don't. The issue that I've had is like I feel like people don't take pride in what they do.
100%.
It's the 80-20 rule, right? Or maybe even less, but statistically speaking, 20% of CPAs actually are the top performers and make up like 80% of the revenue.
Exactly.
Right? Or 80% of the work or whatever, however you want to look at it. And I was so frustrated because I'm like, I am paying these CPAs to do my taxes for me. I'm relying on them as the professional, and I felt like they weren't taking advantage of my tax situation. I made the most money that I made ever in 2023, and I'm paying the least amount in taxes that I've ever paid. The previous couple
I gotta
years.
figure out how to do this.
There we go. There we go. But like, but it's all because of my CPA, really. And the previous years, I paid more in taxes and made less money. Like, how does that work?
100%.
That doesn't make sense, right? And
Yeah.
it was simply because of the people that I was leveraging around me. And it's the same thing with realtors. It's the same thing with flippers. It's the same thing with any industry. Like, there's just people that aren't the best at what they do, and they don't take pride in what they do. And I want to be the guy who, like, if people are using me to help provide a service for them, whether it's like real estate investing or wholesaling or flipping or placing their money in real estate, like, I want to be known as the guy that does it exceptionally.
For sure.
But anyway, that's like my soapbox.
No, I love it.
So it forced me to like look into all these rules. I watched tons and tons of YouTube trying to learn about taxes and stuff, but I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, my CPA should be doing that for me. But anyway, I think I finally found one. So
I love it. Who is it?
Brady Slack, High Country Finance.
Shout out Brady Slack.
Yeah, Brady Slack's got a good team of people, and he was referred to me through. I'm a coach at Real Estate Investing School, Brody Fawcett's program, but he's like one of their sponsors or something. So
I love it. I think that's like a good lesson too in general of like, I read this book a couple times, Who Not How. Have you heard of that book?
Yep.
And so I think a lot of this, like, no matter if it's like someone that's a salaried worker for you or your title company, right? Like, having these who's instead of how has been massive. And like, the concept of the book is you can try and figure out how of your taxes, and it takes you like 30 hours to finally figure out the best use. I'm sure it's more than that, but
yeah.
Or you can try and look for the who and leverage their expertise, right? So that's something that I've been trying to practice a ton. Like, obviously, we're in chats of partnerships, and I've hired my assistant who's been massive for my business, but that's like, it takes a lot of risk to go out and put trust in others. But like, that's really where I've been trying to lean towards, because if I want to grow, my time is so limited that I'm going to hit a ceiling like every time. Like, if I can grow at 10% myself, or if I can leverage other people and 2x, 10x, whatever Grant Cardone says.
Yeah.
Then it's like, it's much better, right? So
Yeah.
that's something I've been trying to lean on. We'll see how it goes, but
No, I love that principle. And sometimes even like you mentioned, like the 30-hour thing, sometimes even finding the who might take you 30 hours or like that. I mean, like, well, even with like the seller finance deals that I've done, I know people that have done way more seller finance deals than me. And if I'm in the middle of a transaction and have like a weird or this weird scenario pop up, I know a list of 5 people off the top of my head that I can call that could give me the answer like that.
100%.
And it's because they've put hundreds of hours into these transactions. So same thing with like Brady Slack, right? Like, it took me 5 years of bouncing back and forth between CPAs to finally find him and feel good about the service he's providing me. So if you can, like, sometimes it's a who that knows a who, right? Like, now, if I can call somebody to help me with the seller finance deal, or I know Brady Slack because of 5 years of, because I guess what I'm saying is, like, sometimes it legit takes 30 hours to find the who. So even sometimes finding the who isn't easy, but
yeah, that makes perfect sense, dude. I love it. Well, Jaden, I appreciate you coming out a ton. It's been absolutely wonderful diving deep into our conversation, and I'm excited to explore some of these business opportunities we got going here. So all love there, but we can find Jaden on Instagram at Jaden Khan. I'll throw his info in the notes as well. But again, thanks for jumping on, and we'll see you next time.